Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining our TaxSlayer online software training. My name is Ruby. I'll be organizing today's session with Herb as our presenter. Each of you should have access to a GoToWebinar toolbar. Please utilize this feature to ask questions relative to our session today. Our team will be managing this throughout the webinar, and we will cover any additional questions at the end of the training. For today's webinar, we will cover advantages of utilizing an online tax software, menu option and tax return functionality to include preparation, navigation, printing, where to access remote signature feature, and finally, how to e-file a return. Let's get this show on the road. All yours, Herb. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to today's Tax Partner webinar. Today's webinar is going to cover how to do a tax return in the TaxSlayer software. This should hopefully give you insight into the functionality of really how easy it is to navigate through the software. Little background on this software: it's been web-based since 1998, so it's been around for a while. You can access this software anywhere, anytime, any place that you have internet access. You can use it on a Mac. A lot of people like the luxury of the Mac today. You can use it on a desktop PC, on a laptop, on an iPad, even on your iPhone, as long as you have internet access. You can help other preparers in remote locations that might be junior to you and need your assistance. There's no install every year, and the same with updates. It's just there for you since it's web-based. And it's highly secure. There's a two-step verification process with additional options if you desire. But let's go ahead and get into the software. And this is the screen you're going to see when you first open up the program. You're going to be in what they call the main menu. And you can see going across the top here, you have the 2023 tax program. You have the current user, which is myself, Herb. You also have the ability right here to change the tax year. So without logging out of this software, you can actually go into a previous year's software. Going down the center, you have a message center, which will give you alerts throughout the season from such things as the IRS, your banking partners, or the transmitter. You also will have a list of rejected clients that have been rejected by the IRS. Going down the center, you can see here, start a new 2023 tax return, which we'll be going into in just a second here. You can import from your mobile app, Taxes to Go mobile app right here. You can do a client search right here. This would be a list of all the clients that you've got in your software. You can see we got a number of them in there right now. You can also take a look at your list of review returns. These are returns that have been checked by, say, a junior preparer that a senior preparer is going to review. So they've been marked as review instead of complete. And you can see we've got one in here right now. You also have configuration. And this is where your admin has set up all the configuration for this software for you to use. We have a reports button that gives you a list of a number of different types of reports, such as federal transmission reports. You can see a number of them there. You have state transmission, financial reports. You can customize and configure your own reports and other data reports. So a number of different types of reports that are available to you. You also have transmission. This would be a list of your clients that you've marked to transmit. They're in the queue ready for you to transmit them to the IRS. Obviously, we don't have any in there right now because the IRS is actually shut down until January when we'll start. And then finally, if you have a desktop install, you can import your desktop returns here. So that's kind of going down the center panel. Over on the left, again, main menu, which we're in now, client status, which will give me a list of those and what their status is. I can go in and take a look at those, and we'll come back to this in a little bit here. I have the IRS website, so without logging out of the software, I can go into the IRS website, do searches or whatever. I also have e-file opt-out form, which is the 8948 if you're going to do a paper return. I have IRS mailing addresses right here. I also have IRS publications, instructions, and forms. And then finally down here on the bottom, I have a refund calculator that allows me to go in and do estimates. So what you can do is if you have a client where you don't want to put in the entire return just to get a quick estimate, you can utilize this calculator. So what we're going to do, I'll just show you real quick how to do that. So let's go ahead and select an age or a filing status and then their age. Which is 30. We'll put in this example here. Is the taxpayer blind? No. Is the taxpayer a dependent? No. Does the taxpayer have an ITIN? No. Number of dependents, I'm going to mark this example 1. Do they qualify for earned income credit? I'll say 1. And for the child tax credit, I'll say 1. So what you can do then is go over, and what we're going to do is just go ahead and let me close out of that. And select a W-2, in this case, a taxpayer. We're just doing single. If there was a spouse there, you could select which one got the W-2. We'll put in $15,000. The amount of withholding, $1,500. Any additional compensation, if applicable. And you can start to see that we're starting to get an estimate up here. And now what it's going to do is take me across other income, deductions, adjustments, and then the results. I'm going to hit next. If I had any interest or dividends or capital gains, I could put it in there. For this example, we're not going to do that. I'm going to hit next. If I had any deductions such as real estate taxes or mortgage interest, I could put that in. And then any adjustments such as child care expenses or other different adjustments that are available. We're going to say no in this example here and hit next. And there is my result. So it gives me quickly an estimate of what my refund would be based on the information I put in. I can also switch this to a 1040 view if I'd like to look at it on a 1040. The thing I would recommend is that if you do estimates, remember to emphasize to your customer that these are estimates, and until you input everything into the actual tax return, it's just an estimate until you get the final answer. So anyway, that's the refund calculator. Nice feature available to you. But the real reason that we're here today is to actually do a tax return. So let's go back to the main menu. Again, you've seen this as we started out. And I'm just going to go to the first line here and go ahead and start a new tax return. Like all software, you're going to put in starting with the social. Another feature of the software is right here, where you can actually set up different profiles. We're going to be using just a basic no profile, just do it from scratch. But I've also set up here as an example, a senior citizens profile. So senior citizens, if I had a lot of clientele that actually are seniors, I could actually set up a profile with such forms auto-populate like the 1099-R or SSA 1099. That's available to you to set up in whatever the configuration that you want. So let's go ahead and start. I'm just going to hit start the return, use the basic no profile. And the first thing it's going to do is give me an alert, the 7216 consent to use return information. Make sure that you get that. And it's going to open up to, like any other software, your basic information. And we'll start here. This is an important message right now because the IRS again is closed. And the software is just now being developed in December to get ready for January. It's going to take us to our filing status. And we've got a couple options here. If I know what to select, I'll just select it here. If I need help determining the filing status, I can use the filing status wizard. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and select head of household and hit continue down at the bottom. And it's going to ask me for some of that basic information. So let's say in this case here, that we're going to have Sally Train. There's a social that we put in. I'm going to say that she was born January 17th in 1990. Her occupation is cleaning. And again, you can tab or use your mouse to go where you want to go. These are all very obvious questions that you see on all personal information. Can they be claimed as a dependent? Were they over 18? Are they blind? Are they deceased? So forth. If any of these apply, you'll want to go ahead and check those boxes. Next, we'll put in the address. Let's use 22 Main. And zip code, if I put that in, it'll auto-populate the city, state for me. Daytime telephone number. And primary email. And we'll just put in sally@gmail.com. Now I'm going to go to the bottom and hit continue. And it's going to ask me next, do I have any dependents or qualifying persons? In this case, I'm going to say, yes, we do, and hit continue. And I'm putting the name of the dependent. We'll call him Billy. Last name's in there. Date of birth, we'll say April 18th and 2017. We'll use it as an example. Social Security number, we'll put. Was this individual a U.S. citizen? I'm going to say yes. Relationship, I'm going to say son. Number of months lived in the home defaulted to 12. And some questions right here that you need to answer to, such as, are they disabled? Is it not your dependent, and so forth. In this case, I'm going to leave those blank and hit continue down at the bottom. And there is my dependent now. You can see here that I have the opportunity to edit. I can delete that dependent. I can also add another dependent if appropriate. In this case, I'm going to hit continue. And there's the information. You can see that it's turned black rather than blue, which means I've got input in there. All right. If the child would have died in the tax year that we're preparing, you have the opportunity here to actually upload the death certificate. So we've got the filing status, we've got the personal information, we've got the dependent in there. If we had identity protection pins, we have the opportunity here to put that in. In this case, we don't, so I'm going to hit cancel. Just wanted to show that to you. And I'm also going to bring to your attention right now, if you look over here to the left, this is what I call the kind of the forms tree. And it's going to take you through how we do the return. You have basic information, federal section, which is where we're going to start adding income and such. If I went back to basic information, there's information that we filled out earlier, okay, showing Billy Train in there. But we're going to go to the federal section. You can also keep this open all the time, or you can close it by going up here. And then when it opens, I can actually pin it open if I'd like. All right. I'm going to go ahead and leave it open for now. And I'm going to go ahead in this example and put in a W-2. Few options that you can input a W-2. You can start right here. These are the most common forms that we use in income that are available to you right here. I can also go over here to the form finder. I could type in W-2 as an example, and it would give me a list here. There's one other option. I could go over here to the summary and print, bring that up, and it would give me a 1040 with hyperlinks that would allow me to hyperlink to whatever line in the 1040 that I wanted to go to. In our example today, I'm going to go ahead and select Form W-2 right here, and I'm going to go ahead and begin. Here's my form W-2, a wage and tax statement. It's a standard W-2. I'm going to put in the employer identification number. In this case here, we'll use, and as an example, since that employer ID number has already been used in the past, it remembers that in the database and auto-populates that for me as one of my employers that I've already input. So it saves me a lot of keystrokes. I'm going to scroll on down. If I had a state, I would input that. In this case, this is a control number. Here's the recipient here, which is our taxpayer, Sally. And I'm going to go on down, and I'm going to go ahead and put in some wages. Put in $15,000, and federal income tax withheld, $1,500. It auto-populates boxes 3, 4, 5, and 6 with the other boxes here. If you have input, boxes 12 and 13, there are your codes for box 12. There are your codes for box 14 in the drop-down. And your state and local information, which we're not going to have in this example. We could also have the opportunity to add another state. Just a reminder, when you're inputting information on any form in your tax return, I always emphasize word for word, letter for letter, and number for number. Make sure you input it exactly how it is on the form. All right, so now I'm going to go on down and hit continue. I can save and enter another one if I wanted to, and here's my W-2. Again, I can edit that if necessary. I can delete it, and I can add another one. For our example today, though, I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. And for other income today, I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do, since she's self-employed, Sally does some cleaning. So let's go ahead and do a 1099 NEC. So we're going to put in the payer's information. And we'll put in Bob's Cleaning. Address, 33, we'll call it Poplar, and 76022. Tab, again, it'll populate for me once I put in the zip code. And we'll put in employer ID. There's the recipient information as you scroll on down. Gives me now the ability to put in my non-employee compensation in box 1. We're going to say $7,000. And go on down and hit continue. And it's telling me I put in the wrong fake ID that we'll have to go ahead and fix. So and we've corrected that and hit continue. And now what it's going to bring us to is, what do you want to do with that 1099 NEC? You have to link it to either a Schedule C or a Schedule F. In this example, we're going to use Schedule C. Hit continue. And now I'm at my Schedule C. In this example today, we don't have a separate business name for Sally. She does not have an employer ID. Her address, if you recall, was 22 Main Street. And zip code was 76022. Again, it auto-populates my city and state. Business code, there's actually a couple different ways. The easiest way is to just Google it and say, what is the IRS business code for cleaning? And it would give you the business code that you could copy and paste in here. You can also use the drop-down list here, which is pretty simple. In this example, I'll just scroll down and select janitorial services and hit continue. So now I've got my basic information in. Again, over here, you're starting to see some of these turn dark that allow you to go ahead and see what you have input in. I'm going to go to questions about the operation of my business next and hit begin. The cash accounting method, cost basis is what I'm going to use. Check here if I did materially participate, which of course I did. It's my business. And all investment is at risk. These are all pre-populated for you as they are the most common answers. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. So I've got information in there. I've got some questions. If you remember, we already added a 1099 NEC, but I also did some work, Sally did, on the side, doing other homes. So let's go ahead and add or edit some of the income there. There's our $7,000 from our 1099 NEC, but she also cleaned a couple other homes and got another $2,800 in cash payments from her customers. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue now. And now it's going to give me an opportunity here, some other information on my Schedule C. What we're going to do next is actually go in and do some general expenses. So I'm going to hit begin. And I also had some advertising flyers and some paper ads, $250. I had supplies for cleaning, $600. And I had some office expense of $100. So I've got my other general expenses. I'm hit continue. And I think we're also going to do some depreciation. So I had to buy a computer desk for me to manage my business. So I clicked on depreciation, brings me to the 4562. You can see here, first one is assets. So let's begin. Description of the asset is a computer desk. And I put it in service in January 1st of last year. It was a nice desk, so it cost me $3,200. 100% for business use. I don't have any 179 deduction. No prior year depreciation. No accumulated depreciation. What method am I going to use? I know it's a 7-year asset life, so I'm going to click on this one. And if it was disposed of, I'd enter the date there. And in this case, I'm going to opt out of the special depreciation because I like to take this depreciation over the life of the asset. So I'm going to check this box here. And if it was a listed property, we would actually select the one right here. In this case, it's not, so we're going to hit continue. And there's my computer desk. I can add another asset, I can edit, and I can delete. I'm going to hit continue in this example. Got some questions about that asset, so I'm going to hit begin. Do I have evidence? Yes, I do, and it's written. These are all questions about vehicles, so I'm not going to skip through those. And I'm going to hit continue. And I've answered those questions now. I'm going to hit continue again. And again, we're going right down the forms tree here, again, pointing out that where we have input, such as on our W-2 or 1099, you can see it's a little bit better than the other sections. You can also go back to basic if you want. You can skip ahead to the health insurance if you want. So you have the ability to either use the tab at the bottom, continue all the way through the return, which we'll do in most cases here. And you can also click over here as you become more comfortable navigating through the software. So we've got depreciation in there. We've got our income in the Schedule C. We've also added some general expenses. Now I actually am going to add some car and truck expenses just to show you how that works. Let's say I also have a Ford truck that I use to go to the different locations and clean. I put it in service again in January of last year. And if you recall, last year, that was one of the years that we had to separate the business miles, half year and half year. So let's put in 800 miles here. And in the second half, we'll put in 1,000. Community miles, I had 350, and I didn't have any other miles. So check if I have another vehicle. Was it available? Again, just answering the questions. And I'm going to hit continue. There's my Ford truck. Opportunity to add another vehicle if necessary. Edit it, delete it. I'm going to hit continue now. And there's my Schedule C. Okay. So we're done with our Schedule C. We've got that in with our W-2. We've got our 1099 NEC. We've got the other gross receipts. I'm going to hit continue. And there's my Schedule C totals. I had $9,800 in income. If you remember, $7,000 on the 1099 NEC. We had another $2,800 that she got in gross receipts. And then our expenses, which include the depreciation, general expenses, and mileage that we input. You can also see up here now, you're starting to see a return summary with the AGI and the federal refund. In this example here, I could go up if I wanted to, and some people like to look at the Schedule C itself, and I can click on Preview Return. I'm going to click on that. And if I want to look at a PDF, I'm going to click on Print. And here's our tax return so far. I can go down through here, and we'll see the W-2 that we put in, 1099 NEC, 8879, so forth, 1040, Schedules 1 and 2. But I want to scroll down and just show you the Schedule C. There's our Schedule C with our income, the expenses that we put in, including the depreciation. A chance for you to take a look at it if you want to look at it in a PDF format. You can download and save that. You can print it if you'd like. In this example, I'm just going to go ahead and close out. And I'm going to go back now. I can go to the federal section if I want to, which will take me through those steps that we've already done. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the health insurance questions. Always need to answer this on the Affordable Care Act. When they receive a 1095-A, I'm going to say, no, we didn't have it. Hit continue. And it's just telling the states aren't available at this point. I'm going to hit continue. It's going to give me a summary. Here's that hyperlink that I was talking about if you want to access W-2s or other forms. I'm going to hit, oh, and I can also look at this in either 1040 view or just a summary view if I'd like, just to point that out. In our example today, I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. And it's going to bring us next to, since we had the dependent on there that qualified for EIC and child tax credit and head of household, we're going to go ahead and have to answer some of these questions. So was the taxpayer a non-resident alien? I'm going to say no. Is taxpayer qualifying child of another? No. Again, read these very closely, and after you go through them 3 or 4 or 5 times, you'll go through them pretty quick. I'm going to answer this one. Did you complete the return based on information incorrectly? Just so I can show you something. I'm going to say no. Adequate questions. Did I review adequate information? Yes. Did any of it appear to be incorrect, incomplete, or inconsistent? No. Did I satisfy the record retention? Yes. I got a driver's license. I got social security cards. And in this case, I also got a birth certificate. And answer the remainder of the questions. Did I ask if any were disallowed? Were they? No. Did you ask adequate questions prior? Yes, I did. Qualifying child number 1. Is this child currently or intended to be a qualifying child of somebody else? Nope. Have you determined eligible? Yes. Did you explain the taxpayer tiebreaker rules? I'm going to say yes, and they're right there listed for you. Child tax credit questions. And then finally, had a household due diligence questions. All right, so I'm going to hit continue. And remember, I answered that one question incorrectly. So I'm going to hit continue. And here's what I'll normally see, that I answered them correctly or certified or whatever. But that since I answered that one question, you can see that in red, it's actually drawing my attention that it does not meet the qualifications for due diligence. So I'm going to click here and hit make changes. And I'll go back to that question here that we answered incorrectly. Didn't qualify us for the due diligence. Change that answer. And I'm going to go back down and hit continue. And you can see now that it's telling me that I have answered it. All right, so we filled out our income, and now we've done the due diligence here. Affordable Care Act question, I'm going to hit continue. Give the opportunity after my due diligence to add a statement if I'd like to. In this case, we'll just say continue. And I'm going to go back to my summary print section. Take a look at my 1040 again. I have the opportunity summary view or 1040 view. And it's going to bring me next to where we're starting to close out of the return details. All right. We're going to go across through here and take care of each one of these sections. I'll draw your attention over here to the right again of the information on our customer, her AGI, her federal refund. So here's our refund. Here's the ERO. How would you like the client to send their tax return? All right. I think we'd like to leave our refund with e-file and paper check since we don't have a bank in here at this point. 8879 with our taxpayers' information in there, including their PIN, ERO's PIN. Optional questions are available here. This is for your third-party designee if you're going to use that. In case we won't. And I'm going to hit continue. And now our fee section. We're going to go through these steps here. In the admin configuration, we set this up to actually set our price at the end of each return. You can also set it up if you want in configuration with forms based or ranges. In this case, I'm just going to charge $300 for this return. There's not going to be electronic filing charge. Here I have my added audit protection and secure ID if appropriate. I've also set up in configuration custom fees and discounts, which your admin can do for you. For an example, if you want to have a print fee, you can do that and actually put the amount in there. You can also edit it if I want to right here at the end of the return, or delete it. I'm going to delete that one. I'm not going to charge an e-file fee, so I'm going to delete that. I also have custom discounts for teachers or for family members. I'm going to say that this is a family member, but it's not a teacher, so I'm going to eliminate that one. And so now $300 minus the $50 credit. Here's my prep fee right here of $250. I'll hit continue. And I've also set up in configurations some custom questions. As an example, in this example here anyway, I've got a number of GM employees around here because we got a large GM plant. So I wanted to know how many of those are coming to me from that plant. So are you a GM employee? And in this case, I'm going to just say no. And also, did you find about us on Facebook on our webpage? In this case, I'm going to say yes, they did. This is for later on if you're running reports and stuff to really learn data about your clientele. All right, so we're done here, and you can see we're getting check marks across the top, and we're getting ready to go to the submission page. I'm going to hit continue. It's telling me, since we're not doing a bank product, to remember to collect my fees. The other alert up there at the top right was telling us that e-file is not open right now, as we all know. That brings us to the signature page. A few different options on how to obtain your signature from your taxpayer. One, we can do it right here in the software. If they're in our office, you can use a Topaz signature pad, or you can use the mouse. You can also create a customer portal, a secure customer portal, where you'll be able to send for a remote signature. And you can do it also through Taxes to Go mobile app that's available to you also. In our example today, I'm just going to go ahead and sign it here. And I'll just see how I can do this. There's Sally, who our taxpayer is. I'm going to hit save. I now have my signature captured. I have my refund, state refund if applicable. There's our pins. Prepare a signature was captured in our configuration setup, so we have to capture that each time. We have the ability here to also have referral names right in here. We could print our documents now if we'd like. We've got our signatures. We have a default print set already set up, but I also have the option here to do it in any format that I want. As I scroll on down, I can share the tax documents with the customer by composing an email and sending them a copy. I can also invite them right here to the secure customer portal, which gives you the ability not only to capture signatures, you also can chat through an app feature. You can also trade documents by importing, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in just a second here. But you can send an invite right here. And you could also send the document if everything was done without them coming in the office. Down here are the client fees. Again, a summary. We could print the invoice. In this case, how did the client pay for the prep fees? I'm going to say they paid us cash. I'm going to mark the invoice as paid. And brings us to another feature in the software, return tags. Again, these would be set up by your admin in configuration. And what you can do here is set up what they call tags. And if I mark this one, which we did a Schedule C, as a Schedule C, I'm tagging that return. And when I go back to the search and looking at all my clients, I can actually search by just looking at all my returns that have a Schedule C in them, or that were prepared by Herb. So I don't have to look at all the other returns that we've got, just the ones that I want to look at. At this point, we've got a couple options right here. If I'm a junior preparer and I want to mark it for review by a senior preparer in the office, I would simply mark this return is ready for review. I'm going to say in our example, the marked return as complete, because I'm ready to transmit it. And since the IRS MEF system is shut down right now until they open up in January, we don't have a transmit button right here. But when they open up, that will become available for us to click on transmit. So it will give us the ability to transmit immediately or put it in a queue to transmit later on at the end of the day. Also going to bring your attention to a couple other things right now. Over here on the left, I talked about creating a customer portal. If you recall at the very beginning, we could have created the customer portal when we were putting in the basic information once we got that completed as far as basic information. I've also got the option at any time once I start to create it here. If you recall at the end, we also had the option to create a customer portal just up above a little bit here. I also want to bring your attention, if you go up there to the top, since I'm in the return, Sally Train, I can actually hit this drop down box. I can create a customer portal here. I can scan documents into the return, whether I'm using the customer portal or not. By clicking on scan. And if I want to upload documents, I'll just click on upload. And you can drag and drop. In this case, I'm going to just go ahead and grab the driver's license that I've scanned in. I'm going to wait for it to populate. And there's my driver's license there. I'm going to save that. There's my driver's license. Not really, haha. And we'll go back and let's say we want to go ahead and upload a W-2. I'm going to click on this again. And I'm going to grab my W-2. I'm going to wait for it to populate. And there's my W-2. I'm going to save it. And if we want to review it, we can take a look here at our W-2. So just another feature in our software. I'm going to go back up here to Sally, where we were at. So create customer portal, scan documents. If I wanted to look at this in Spanish, I could do that by clicking on Spanish. And if you see over here in this section here now, everything is in Spanish. In this case, I'm going to go back and go back to English. Takes me back to my submissions page. I'm going to go up to Sally one more time to show you a couple of other things. Notes, if you wanted to add notes to this return, you could do that right here. Helpful tools, which take you to links for the IRS, and then quick file if you're ready to do it. But for our example today, we've got everything complete. We couldn't transmit because the IRS is not open. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and exit. Brings me back to my main menu. And I want to show you a couple other things too. If we go into client search, okay, I'm going to go into Sally again in just a second here, but I want to show you some of the buttons. So if you look right here when you're in your client search, again, another place where you have the opportunity to add notes if you want. Those that are tagged will be shown in dark blue. Remember, we marked some of these with tags, you can see, so that we can sort it in a different format. I've also got the opportunity here to print. And if I look at tools, similar to the screen that we had above, I can look at my scanned documents. I can email a return. Client status, which will give me a history of this return as we go through it. Back to tools, app chat history, if appropriate. Privacy settings, where you can actually restrict others in your office from seeing this return by putting a password on it. Change preparer, if necessary, and deactivate. In the software here, you cannot delete a return, but you can deactivate the return. You can also reactivate that return by starting a new return and putting that social security number in there. But in any event, that pretty well concludes how to do a tax return. I hope this has been beneficial to you. And if you have any other questions, obviously call our support line, and I'll turn it back over to Ruby.
Thank you for attending. Have a great day.